Hi, my name is Erin. I'm a therapist, and today we're going to talk about the difference between clean pain and dirty pain. In Acts and Commitments therapy, there's a differentiation made between pain that stagnates in our inner world, those issues that you get stuck on, versus painful experiences that we're able to process and move or aerate out. Difference really boils down to our willingness to experience these inner sensations. This is what happens when we're in clean pain. We actually process and feel those inner sensations, versus dirty pain when we delay actually fully experiencing our painful life events or experiences due to these interpretations that we have or judgments that we have about our pain that end up blocking us from fully experiencing the pain and moving and aerating it out. Okay, so that's dirty pain. Let me know if you can relate to some of these questions. Have you ever asked yourself, when is this experience going to be over? Why is this thing happening? How will I solve this problem issue? If you've ever asked yourself these questions, chances are you are familiar with what dirty pain feels like and what it looks like. So oftentimes when we are confronted with a painful life event or experience, we immediately want to jump into problem solving. And this actually delays us from fully experiencing and again, processing the unmet need, the experience of grief that lies beneath what it is that we are trying to solve, or the challenge that's presenting itself to us at the present moment. So you might ask yourself, so how would me asking these questions or trying to problem solve delay me from processing these emotions in a healthy way and actually accessing answers and getting clarity on issues related to my painful experiences or the pain source in my life? So let's take the first set of questions that I introduced to you. So why is this happening? This question in and of itself positions us to wage war on our existence when we ask these questions, okay? So it is a call to war. And the second question, why is this happening to me? What's wrong with me? When will I be able to forgive, let go, move on, right? I hear these questions a lot. This positions us to wage war against ourselves, okay? And then the third set of questions that we'll often ask when we're in dirty pain, when will this be over, right? How will this be over? When will this be over? Really positions us to wage war on time. When we are in a state where we are waging war against time, ourselves, and existence, we are most vulnerable to shutting down our higher self guidance, who needs access to the present moment in order to communicate to us. Okay, when we revert back to Lisa Miller's awakened brain, we need to toggle between awakened awareness and achieving awareness. If you are strictly glued to a survival mode, a finite way of viewing the world from the inside out perspective, because life has become a problem, because time has become the enemy, and because you are a problem as well, you limit yourself and you shut the door on higher self, and you stagnate, right? These painful experiences from fully expressing themselves and from your ability to fully embrace them in the here and now. In short, when we are in dirty pain mode, we essentially view our life events as riddles to be solved. In Greek mythology, there are two sort of famous riddles. One is the riddle of the Sphinx, and the other is the riddle of Cerberus. And I'm going to talk about this myth for a second and to give you some helpful questions that you can ask yourself after you've embraced your emotions and when your higher self is now online with regards to helping you to tackle, address any issues that you might be having in your life related to a particular pain point. So I'm going to refer you back to my previous video where I give you all of these strategies for embracing pain. This is how we clean out pain. We move pain through our inner world, okay? And once we've done that, like I said, now we're in a position where we have greater access to higher self and we're able to ask these two helpful questions. But before I get into the questions, let's talk about these riddles. So the first riddle is the riddle of Cerberus. Now, Cerberus is the watchdog, a monster that lived outside of Hades, the underworld in Greek mythology. And there were many heroes that fell and who died trying to get into Hades because they couldn't figure out how to conquer Cerberus. Now, the answer to the riddle of Cerberus, of how to get past Cerberus, is that you play Cerberus music and he goes to sleep. Okay. Now, if you're a Harry Potter fan, Fluffy, the dog Fluffy, is essentially Cerberus. Play him a bit of music and he goes right off to sleep. So in life, after we have soothed our emotional experiences, in order to prevent us from getting into dirty pain after we've done some of the embracing practices that allow us to clean out the pain, what we oftentimes want to do is we want to jump back into the questions. Okay, so like, why is this happening? Or problem solving. Usually we need more time, okay, before we can get into problem solving mode. And the questions I'm going to give you right now allow you to align with higher self and allow you to access your answers without getting stuck in dirty pain. So the first question has to do with Cerberus. So the first question you want to ask yourself after you've spent some time embracing your emotions aligns you with the here and now and also aligns you with all parts of you, contrary to the other questions we talked about that we often ask in dirty pain. So this question is, what is the most nurturing thing that I can do for myself in this moment? Maybe it's make some tea. Maybe it's call a friend. Maybe it's book a hotel room. I shared this with you in previous videos. Your higher self negotiates with all parts of you and oftentimes leads us on a scavenger hunt, the path of least resistance, in order to collect pieces and nuggets of information with regards to our needs and what resources are available to us in the here and now to satisfy our needs. Okay, so this gentle question, what is the most nurturing thing I can do for myself in this moment, positions us to commit to certain behaviors that are going to help us to continue to embrace our emotional experiences and to nurture ourselves, okay? To keep higher self online so we keep getting that feedback and to, again, align with the here and now. In my experience, when we keep sort of asking ourselves this question after we've spent some ample time embracing our emotions, we usually are able to intuitively get into problem solving mode. You'll notice that when you're talking to a friend, if that's okay, what's the most nurturing thing? Go talk to a friend. That when you're talking to the friend, you get this nugget or this insight like, oh, this could actually help me with X, Y, or Z issue. Or when you're sitting there drinking tea, you might find that you get another insight, right? But it's sort of this, again, scavenger hunt, positions us in the scavenger hunt to access the information we need without getting into this fight or flight mode or this hypervigilant state where we're stagnating emotional flow and where we're shutting the door on higher self because we're aligned with the problem. So this second question really aligns us with our existence and leverages the creative and the generative nature of higher self. So in the riddle of the Sphinx is a monster that lives outside of the Greek city Thebes and kills many passerbys who can't answer the riddle. And the riddle is, what creature, in essence, walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 at noon, and 3 in the evening? And the answer is humans or man in this riddle. And so the question we want to ask ourselves, if we are in the position to do so, which I'll get into in a minute, after we've spent some ample time embracing, has to do with how our higher self is with us always and able to troubleshoot in any condition and evolve with us over time. Okay, that's important because we're allying with time here and we're allying with the generative nature of our higher self, which I talk about in other videos when I get into the different characteristics of higher self. Okay, so what we want to ask ourselves here is, this is the next question that we can ask ourselves, is what is this tension or this issue in my life informing? What needs might I be better able to get met as a result of this issue? How is this issue going to help me to evolve into my highest self? And what's the highest and best outcome that could arrive from this issue? Okay. So here we're not seeking to like force ourselves to find a silver lining. I really want to clarify that. What we're looking to is to really give this sort of frame for higher self to fill in the details of how we can align with the solution. Okay, so by seeing ways that we can creatively use life events in our favor, how can we leverage this weight? And the benefit of this question is you don't actually need to solve the riddle. You don't need to know why this happened to you. Okay. You don't even need to think that this is a good thing that happened to you, but are you willing to use it? Is really the question. Are you willing to leverage higher self guidance to use this in order to propel you in a direction that meets your needs? Now, I want to say something compassionate here. It's really important for people to know. I do not encourage people to ask that second question of higher self unless they've done a lot of embracing work. Like they have really grieved whatever it is they're grieving. They're further along in their grieving process, whatever the grief is attached to, that pain issue. Like if someone just lost a loved one, I would never say to them like, well, how could this have served your highest and best? That's just really insensitive. But I would encourage them to really lean into those embracing practices that I gave in the prior video to sort of clean out the pain, right? And then to ask themselves the Cerberus question, which is what's the most nurturing thing I can do for myself in this moment, and to continue to keep higher self online and continue to access, more and greater clues as to how they can cope with this pain and this event. Okay. But again, if you have done a lot of embracing work, then perhaps it is time to ask the second question, which is, all right, how do I leverage this? And again, to align with the solution, the questions that we ask ourselves when we are in dirty pain align us with the problem, which puts us in survival mode. These questions that I'm offering you, what I call homecoming questions, align you with your solutions. Okay. And more than just your solutions, but with the intelligence that resources the solutions to the pain. And when I talk about the solutions to pain, I'm not talking about solving your pain. What I'm really talking about is what are the ways that we can process and move our pain? Okay, again, how do we clean out our pain, progressively and over time? And are there ways to use it? Are there creative ways that we can leverage what we've gone through to create conditions in our life that really serve more of our needs? Is that possible? I call that process creative tension. How we can use challenging life events to actually, propel us into creative states of accessing greater and more need. And now listen, not every event we need to be, do we need to sort of put that pressure on ourselves to use it? But I think after you have embraced something for a long enough time, I would float it over to you to try to see, are you able to use it? Are you able to get clues or nudges on ways that these experiences can actually serve you moving forward, even if they're things that you would never choose or that you would never wish to happen to yourself or anyone else? Are there ways to leverage these painful events? So just to sum this up, clean pain is moving pain. We want to look back at our embracing practices in order to really clean our pain and to move it out. That's really the root of the word emotion, move out. Okay. Dirty pain has to do with our interpretations, this excessive problem solving or obsessing about the pain itself, which actually blocks us from feeling into it, from being able to embrace it and aerate it out, and then to access the present moment more deeply and align with higher self, who then can help us through those two homecoming questions to continue to keep this intelligence online and to access greater clues and nuggets of wisdom that will help us to further embrace our painful experience, and perhaps, and many times, to create from, with it, and around it.